Cloud. All right, good morning. Guess what week it is? It is week number 30. We are in the 30s officially. How do you feel about being in the 30s already? Does that feel kind of weird? Yeah, it's 30 weeks in. This is and it's almost done. We're almost done with week 30. So kind of crazy. All good. Let's jump in. Any gratitude that you guys want to share this morning? If you want to pop your hand up. I was reading something this weekend. Willie Nelson said it. This is a real Texas dude. When I started counting my blessings, my whole life turned around. This is a Willie Nelson quote. He's a cool guy. I don't know how old he is. How old do you guys think he is? I mean, he's on up there, right? I feel like it. I feel like he is on up there. He's not a young kid anymore. But I want to shout out a couple people on my team, and if you have any, put your hand up, and then we'll go from there. Shout out to Akash on our team. He closed the 578 listing, but it's not the listing that he closed that I'm shouting out. That came from online reviews. And I want to give a shout out to our staff. They drove those review challenges, and having so many reviews online for our agents. That client literally read reviews online, felt most connected to Akash, and then called him. So shout out to Akash for closing the deal, and then to our staff for getting those reviews. So when your staff is asking you guys, hey, like get your friends and family to write your reviews, like it's really important. You can close a 578 deal. And then I want to shout out Andrea Atkins and Jonathan on our team. They closed open house deals. So those of you who are doing open houses this week, this month and next month, and you're like, hey, like, I don't know, like, is this ever going to work? Well, they closed like two this month already. So, and there's a few more open house closings this month already. So anyway, just wanted to share all that with you guys because what we do works. And sometimes you just need to hear it that it works. Any other shout outs, or are we going on to announcements?
Yeah, I got one, partner.
Yes, sir.
I want to give a shout out to Yaz. He's over there sitting behind Joseph. And I want to shout him out because he joined our team as an ISA, and he actually completed his 5,000 dials last week. He's already done 2,500 and 2,500. Now, I understand that's his sole job, but he came in. He still doesn't know how to close a transaction, by the way. He doesn't know, and that's cool. He said he doesn't want to. However, he can convert appointments. So the reason I want to shout him out is because when he first joined the team, I said, I'm not going to get upset if you don't schedule any appointments. I'm going to get upset if you don't follow the script. And it goes back to what Brian said last week. You can't complain about the model unless you follow the model.
Ooh.
And it seems like I'm getting texts daily from him about leads that he's converting and where we send them and stuff like that. So yes, keep going and just keep following the model.
I love that. That's a good shout out, Jaime. Nice job, Yaz. That's awesome. Good to hear that. Really good to hear that. I just read that you guys said that he's 91. William Nelson is 91. So he knows a thing of two about performing, about which one of us want to be 91 and selling real estate? Like he's 91 still singing. So how about that, guys? I got a couple announcements for you. If you want to check the chat box next week on the 31st, we have Brendan on, and he's doing ready, set, reset. Ready, set, reset. I know that sometimes we go about our week and then we forget that it was the Brendan call. And it's like fine, right? But this guy, like, remember, people pay him thousands of dollars to have him speak to them. So this is probably one of those that I put up there with Chris calls. Like, we definitely want to let him change the direction of our lives. Like, this is what he does. And then on that topic next week, we do not have a Texas Power Up. You know why? Anybody? Oh, I heard Delby. I mean, I didn't hear her, but I saw her energy.
It's inventory creation day.
Inventory
it's the first again.
It is. Do you know how fast these like every time it's like inventory creation day? I'm like, wow, it's already another month. But it is on the first. And if your team doesn't do inventory creation day, that's okay. You can do inventory creation day. Inventory creation day is about front loading your entire month with seller conversations. So you spend the day focused on seller conversations. It could be expires and withdrawals and canceled and all of that sort of thing. It could also be circle prospecting around sellers. It could be sellers in the pond. It could be sellers in the database. The whole intent is sellers. Cool. All right. So then this morning, guys, a lot of you requested more training on buyer and seller offer negotiations, right? And I went to my Rolodex. It's not a real Rolodex, it's just my phone. And I thought about who I think does a great job with this. Three specific things I was looking for that you guys wanted: how to handle presenting offers to a listing agent. So you're the buyer's agent, you're presenting the offer to the listing agent, and you want to stand out, right? Number two, how to handle and maximize receiving the offer as the listing agent so that your seller feels so good about how much you like negotiated for them that they're like, they'd give you a 5-star review right there. And then the third thing you guys wanted was how to build value and maximize all those moving parts, all the negotiable pieces of a deal so that they feel like you gave professional level service. And so I want to introduce what I think is the dynamic duo. And they are really awesome. I'm going to pop them on here. Let me find, oh, there's Brandon right there. He probably got a haircut for this. Just kidding. Let me find, where did Laura go?
Two hairs cut for this.
Two hairs, all of the hair is cut. Okay, hold on, let me find. And Laura just got beautiful this morning, but she probably looks like this every day. She probably woke up like this. So
Sure.
yeah, that's what we think. Laura is in the Midland, Odessa area, and Brandon is in the San Antonio area. So I'm going to start with the first question. If you guys have follow-up questions as we talk about these questions, pop them in the chat. I will look at chat. So we'll start with the first. You're a buyer's agent. You write an offer. And here's what I typically see. I see the buyer agent just kind of sends an email and then hopes for the best. Anybody ever do that? You just send off the offer, cross your fingers, hope it goes through. So Brandon and Laura, how are you guys communicating and conveying that offer to the listing agent so that you stand out? Anything that you want to share on tactics, strategies, or scripts?
Brandon, you want to go first?
Sure. So when I was thinking about this call, I think there's a setup, right? Like, so preparation, I'm big on preparation because I don't, it's like imposter syndrome that won't go away. And so if it's cool, I want to share how I set up before we even get the client to do their offer. And so I kind of broke this down into pre-submitting and then submitting. And I think the reason for that is because something that we wanted to focus on today was how to get, reviews and get, more business from our clients who are going to trust us after the fact. And so just quick overview, before even getting to the point of making an offer, internalizing the market data. And the reason I bring that up is because our market shifted like a lot of your markets did in your cities to where we used to have to be very, very aggressive, very urgent. And it was a little different, but that was pretty much for every deal we were running into the same thing. And then what we started to notice in San Antonio was our clients didn't have to go as big as they had to before. And so what we were training on was, don't necessarily go crazy so much up front. Let's individualize the situations. And so looking at the specific, market data, list price to sold price, days on market, the things that we're promising them in the buyer's consultation that we're going to look at, and then pending contracts. It's taking a little bit longer in San Antonio. And by little, I mean a lot longer than it used to get even a pending. And so we want to get a hold of those agents if we can. We're going to let our clients know that that's the homework that we're doing, so they know that we're working on their behalf. An overall comp analysis like you normally would. And then the property history is where we've been finding some opportunities because we're asking the uncomfortable questions now when we give that agent a call. And so before we get to the point of sitting down with our clients to write the offer, I always recommend call the agent, right? We're going to talk about professionalism and rapport today. And so just a couple scripts, right? So this might be to you, Adelina. Hey, Adelina, this is Brandon with the Ben Kinney team. And if you're somebody I've worked with, I might say Keller Williams instead, right? Or I'm going to try to bring up the most relatable thing we have right away. So say you're Keller Williams. I'd say, hey, Adelina, it's me with Keller Williams Heritage as well. I saw you in the office the other day. Hey, anyways, I was giving you a call about your listing on 123 Main Street. And my clients, we showed it today. They like the house, and I'm going to be meeting with them later to see if they're ultimately going to submit an offer. Are you guys working anything? And the reason I ask it that way is because I'm always trying to be intentional about not giving away leverage up front. So what we used to do in the hypermarket was, hey, Adelina, I swear to God, my clients love your house. They'll give you their kids. They'll give the boat, right? And we want to make sure not to do that unless we have to, right? And so just a soft, easy, they might make an offer. Are you working anything? And I'm trying to incentivize you to give me some information. And then the harder questions in today's market, I noticed it's been on the market 95 days, Adelina. Why do you think it's resisted selling? Professionalism, right? One thing our client needs to go under contract these days are some concessions. Is that something your client's open to? Anything besides the price your client's looking to maximize, a lease back, closing date, whatever it could be. And then we started asking more often, I'd love to share anything else that's important to the sellers with my clients when I talk to them today. What would you say is most important? And I'm really trying to figure out, is it price? Is it concessions? Is it something else that I could give my clients to where if they're going to ask for everything, I could at least show them or prepare them for a counter proposal, right? So you could use this information to guide your clients to make stronger offers. And then you're going to want to prepare the offer, review it with your clients, and then get ready to submit. And then to circle back.
What was the third one? I noticed they've been on the market X amount of days. I got that one. What was right after that?
One thing our client's going to need to go under contract on this home is some concessions. Is that something your client's open to? And we've noticed sellers are starting to really understand what market they're sitting in now. And that question goes a long way if it's a deal breaker on the concession side. And then once we've met with our clients, we're going to submit. We let the agent know again. Quick text to you, Adelina. Hey, great news, right? I pitch everything as great news. Even if it's bad news, I pitch it as great news. Hey, Adelina, great news. My client is going to submit an offer. It should be in your inbox this evening. And then one thing I kind of try to stress as much as possible, the least we can do in the favor of our clients is be 100% accurate on the contract. It's fill in the blanks, spend an extra little bit of time on it. And so I'll double, triple check that thing. And then fill out the other agent's info, do as much as I can to help them out, to make it easy for them to say yes. And then I'm getting to the point of submitting it. And so that was long, kind of broken down points there. Now to make the offer stand out. So we're usually presenting these via email. We're going to highlight the good things, right? In multiple offer markets, we were giving them everything. So it was really easy to look great on paper. These days, 10 to 15K under, asking for 10K in closing costs. It's hard to kind of frame that. And I know right. So we've all been in that position where it's like, all right, we're going to make a strong offer. What do you want to do? It's like 20 under, 20K in closing. And it's like, all right, I got to polish this thing and try to, because it's our job, right? Even if we think it's going to get accepted or not, we have to be positive and pitch it in a way. So like yesterday, for example, our team, we submitted an offer and it was, asking price because we're asking for concessions, but it was like 11 grand in concessions, switching the title company, home warranty. We're not paying a transfer fee. They might actually accept that, but we only highlighted we're slightly over asking price, 10-day financing contingency. So it didn't have to be this long, elaborate thing, but we still want to put on paper the good news. And then we're going to highlight that when maybe I call you after that too. Hey, Adelina, it's in there, very strong conventional, 10 days. So we're just going to break down the highlights. And then at the end of that email, I always try to insert a script that says, hey, Adelina, thank you for your time. Please let us know if anything else would be a win-win. And I'm almost trying to incentivize you to at least be open to the fact that my clients might entertain a counter. Because sometimes you don't get the counter if the offer is low or if it's not what the seller's expecting. And then I would text you and say, hey, I just sent you that offer as promised. Please let me know if there's anything else that would make this a win-win. If it's a little more competitive, we'd CC our lender on there, and we would text our lender in advance. Say Laura's our lender in this case. Say, hey, Laura, we're about to submit an offer for our client. Please look out for that email. It's going out in 5 minutes. Follow up with them. Send an email or call them if you're open to that, and really, really hype up our client. And we have lenders that are willing to do that. And so we're just trying to every possible way to build positive rapport and confidence in our client's offer and working with us.
I love that. I took a lot of notes. I hope everybody's watching. I hope everybody's taking a lot of notes. I see a bunch of your contracts. They're not like this. So that's a starting point. Laura, what about you? What's it looking like?
So he said a lot of the things that I was going to say. Also, the prep ahead of time, and just the I call it the pre-gaming call to the other agent, just to kind of get a feel for where they're at with the house. It's important. If I call you, Adelina, and I say, hey, I'm fixing to show your house at 123 Main Street. Do you have anything working? And you tell me, you know what? I just received an offer. That's going to change everything about how I talk to my client at the showing in regards to what kind of offer we need to be making. So that pre-gaming call is super important to me. But let's say that, let me just fast forward so I don't repeat things that he's already said. I'm going to go more into like the technical things that I think make my offers stand out a little bit more and make me be perceived as more professional. So one of the things is, when I sit down to write the offer, for one, it is a pet peeve of mine as a listing agent that I get text from buyer's agents asking for documents that I've already uploaded to MLS. So I make sure that I'm sitting in front of a computer and that I've checked all of the documents that are uploaded and that I know what I'm working with, so that I'm not asking for stupid things. Because if I'm already looking like a careless agent because I didn't do my homework, it's not going to go over well for me in the negotiations. So that's step number one. I pull up Navica, make sure Navica is our MLS. I don't know what everybody else has, but our MLS is Navica. So I pull up the MLS listing. I make sure I look at all the attachments. I look to see if the seller's disclosure is there, if the survey and the T47 are there, if any addenda that are necessary. And then if something's missing, I'll go to the listing agent and I'll say, hey, Adeline, I'm fixing to write an offer on your house that I just showed this morning, but I see on Navica that the seller's disclosure is missing. Would you mind shooting that over to me? And that right there does the opposite, because now I've let Adelina know that I am doing my job. I've checked the MLS listing. The things are not on there, and I am requesting what I need to write a complete offer. Now, once I know that I've got everything I need, it is really important to me to write a clean, complete offer. I'm kind of OCD, so as a listing agent, I like to receive my documents in order. So in the order that makes sense in my brain. So contract, third-party financing addendum, and then the addenda that makes sense follows. So I put that in the attachments in that order in my email, because I want to make it easy for the listing agent to open this email and move through the different moving pieces easily. In the body of my email also, I highlight the main terms of the offer. So it might sound something like this. Adelina, attached, please find ABC documents. For your convenience, these are the main terms of the offer: sales price, option period, option amount, earnest money, closing date, whatever you consider the main terms of the offer. And then I might have a blurb about, hey, just FYI, our offer is conventional with so-and-so lender. They are known for closing 99% of their deals on time, and their pool of appraisers is amazing. And we know that we're not going to have issues when it comes time to that, short of the house having, a major issue or something like that. So my email and the order of my documents make it really easy for the listing agent to move through. Right after I send that, I'm going to send her a text, or I'm going to call her, depending on who the agent is. Some agents won't ever pick up a phone call. So I might just send a text and say, hey, Adelina, just sent you over the offer. Just to recap, these are the main terms of the offer. Because I want her to already have that in her brain. She might be in the car and she might need to make a quick phone call to her client to let them know that she's got an offer. And I don't want her to have to go dig through a PDF in order to tell them what the main terms are. So that's on my end. I'm presenting kind of just like the technical side of how I make my offer look. So it's a lot of communication, it's a lot of due diligence up front, and it's just being orderly. When it comes time to competing, and I know we're not to that question yet, but when it comes time to competing, when you're in multiple offer situations, this is huge. I've had listing agents tell me, we picked your offer because it was the one that was complete from the get-go, because we didn't have to go back and correct things or ask for additional things.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Brandon, anything on competing offers about the same, or anything you do differently on competing?
I would just mention it doesn't hurt to ask. And I know sometimes, depending on how long you've been in the business and what markets you've moved through, is just being persistent and asking as many times as possible. Like, what would it really take? Right. And so I always thank them for letting us know, right? Because we're still getting multiple offers in some areas. And they might say, yeah, we actually do. We just got another 2 or 3 offers in. And it's just asking like, okay, well, I really want to set good expectations with our client, and I'm confident they'll write the highest offer. Would something near list price even compete at this point? And the reason we asked that is the same thing I mentioned earlier. Before, we assumed right away it wouldn't even compete. And then now you can win in multiple offers with the full price offer. It's not like how it used to be in every case when it's competitive. And then if they say no, then it's just being persistent and say, okay, it wouldn't, man, okay. If I could get them up 5, if I'm able to go get them up 5 for you and your clients, would that put them in first position? Yes. Okay, great. And now I could go set something Laura said. She didn't say it directly, but what I heard her describing and what I wrote down was she's setting good expectations with her clients and with the other agent. And that's a way to really win with your clients, whether they win the offer or lose. If they understood what was going on and the expectations were met, they'll love you regardless. They'll have more confidence on the next offer, right? And that's something that might come up a little later. But if they say no, 5 wouldn't even get you close, and say, okay, well, I know you can't tell me everything, Adelina, but what would it take? What would it take for my client to get in first position? I'm really confident they'll write the best offer. You want the best offer for your client. What would it take? And if they won't tell me, because sometimes they don't tell us, right? That's okay. But now I could go back to my client and let them know, hey, here's what I asked. Here's what I was willing to do. Here's what I tried to get for you. And here's as much information as I have. Here's how I'd recommend you proceed based off that information. How do you feel about that? And not only does that set good expectations, and do they know that we work for them, they feel really involved in the decision-making process. And ultimately, win or lose, they want to feel involved, like they were empowered to make decisions. And that's our job, is to help them feel empowered to make good decisions, right? So I would just that's where I do get annoying, right? I'm 100% the same with Laura. Submit a clean offer. I wrote in the chat, Laura, I don't know if you guys get this up there. Hey, Laura, just sent you an offer via dot loop, and then you have to go dig through everything. It's all.
Those are so annoying. Like, you mean to tell me I have to click on a link to get to the documents that are all messed up and out of order? No, thank you.
And if you're competing, just so you know, if you do that, maybe reconsider. If you're competing, you're at the bottom of the list, right? Like, make it as easy as possible for your client to understand. Make it as easy for the other agent to want to work with you. And they will if you make their life easier. It works out that way.
It reminds me of tell your clients what you're going to do it, tell them you did it. And that helps them to see your value. We're in a world where all we're doing is showing our value, right? Otherwise, you're not getting paid. So interesting. Okay, what if we switched it up? What if right now we put on our listing agent hat? So say you're the listing agent, you receive offers from a buyer's agent. And what I have seen a lot of, because we're getting a little lazy, is we forward the offer to the seller and ask them what they want to do, as if the seller is the professional. And what agents have told me is, well, my seller's making the decision anyway. Well, Duh. So how are you handling and maximizing that offer so that your seller really feels like you went to bat for them? And if they were leaving you a review, they would give you a 5-star review right there and then. Like, what does that look like? How do they feel that you were in their corner and you didn't just forward the offer and say, what do you want to do?
First of all, never put a form in front of your client that you have not had the chance to explain to them, because that's just opening up Pandora's box. So forwarding an offer before you've even had a conversation with them is the quickest way to get them into panic mode and questioning every single thing about the offer. For me, I usually open up the offer and I'll move through. I have a little checklist that I don't need it anymore. It's kind of in my brain, but if you're new, it might be good for you to have a checklist of all the main terms that you need to look for in the offer. And I will just kind of sift through the whole offer and I will get it on paper so that I understand what kind of offer this is. Once, mind you guys, you should have already done a full consultation with your sellers in a way that you should understand what's important to them. So by now you should be able to look at the terms of this offer and say, you know what, this is exactly the offer Mr. Seller and Mrs. Seller need. Or this one term right here is not going to work for them, but you should know that before you even send that to them. So by the time I pick up the phone, it sounds like this. Hey, Adelina, good news. We just got an offer on your house. It's almost everything that you guys wanted, except for this one thing. And then I'll go into explaining what that is and what the consequences of them accepting that would be. I also prepare as an estimate of net seller proceeds before I even call them, because I know that's a question that's going to come up immediately. Well, Laura, if we took this offer, how much is that going to net us? Well, with all the information that you've given me, and if your payoff is correct, you should walk away with XYZ. And so I'm anticipating the questions that they're going to ask me before I pick up the phone, before I get them all excited, because it just makes me cringe when you say that people just forward the offers to the seller and tell them, what do you want to do? Because I just can't. I mean, how do you even do that? I'm speechless about that.
Me too. Me too. Hence, here we are. So anticipate questions that the seller will have.
So just kind of to wrap it up so that I don't take the whole power up. Sift through the offer, understand all the terms, wrap it up in a nice little box with a bow for the seller that you can easily digest and explain. Have the estimate of net seller proceeds for them, because they're going to want that, and then have 2 or 3 courses of action that you can suggest to them. So you can say to your seller, Brandon, we can either accept this offer as it is written, and that would mean ABC for you, or we could counter offer them. I recommend a counter at this price. Or we could simply reject the offer and hope that a better one comes up. Or so you're not just like leaving it up to them. If they could make decisions on the spot, they wouldn't need you.
Bingo, bingo.
I think I have said it before in another power up that you invited me to, is your income in real estate and really in anything in life will be directly proportionate to the amount of problems that you're able to solve for them. And if you're putting a piece of paper in front of them and hoping that they solve their own problem, your value is null. It's what's your value? You put a lockbox on the house and put the house on the MLS, they might as well go to a discount broker.
Word, preach that. Right on. Brandon, what about you?
I 100% agree. Number one on the list of the notes that I have for this call is also the same thing. Review the offer in its entirety and make notes of discrepancies, items of interest, good and bad, things that you already know your clients need. But I'll just go through, I think Laura nailed it, some of the prep, if that's cool. And so step number one, review the offer, internalize that thing, know what you're going to be talking about. And then ahead of time, like Laura mentioned, there should have been a consultation there to where you discover their motivation and kind of get a feel for their personality and things like that. And what we're prepping our clients for right now, we're getting a lot of sub 2 offers, owner financing offers, low ball junk offers and stuff like that. So we're already telling them that way ahead of time, so that when those come in and we're presenting those to them, there's still an opportunity there, right? We'll turn 2 low balls into 1 good offer by leveraging multiples if we can. And we talk about that to inspire them to be happy with offers that come in regardless. And so that they know that we're always working towards another step forward. And then we're preparing an accurate net sheet ahead of time. Sometimes, you know, if you could really get in a position where you're in front of your computer, you're not taking phone calls, you're really focused on presenting the software, you might even have the net sheet software up. And as you're presenting those solutions that Laura mentioned, you're plugging in the numbers right away to say, hey, well, that's a great question, Adelina. If we came down to 415, you would actually net X. And I remember 2 weeks ago, you said that would be amazing. So how do we feel about that? Is that something you want to move forward? Right. And then it's just, they don't have to then go think on their own too much without your help. Now we want them to, sometimes they need to sit on it, but you want to give them as much information as possible, because if they were making those decisions without us, they wouldn't need us. Right. And so what I'd really like to share is the call before you present, the call to the other agent. It's one of my favorite things, because most agents will just give away a ton of information. So here's some questions we can use before presenting to get some necessary information and to come from curiosity. And then we're starting to front load the potential for counter proposals, right? We're starting to lay the groundwork for that. So, you know, hey, Adelina, thank you for submitting your offer on our client's home at 123 Main Street. I'm working to coordinate a time to present. And this is really important. You've heard Laura say, prepare, right? Something that we get caught up in is mismanaging our time. And then you're rushed, you're stressed out, you're presenting this offer in your car, your clients just got off work and they're picking up their kids, they're stressed out, they're not in the mind frame to think well, right? And neither are you potentially. And so I try to front load that as well. Hey, I'm trying to get on my client's schedule to present tomorrow morning, tomorrow afternoon, right? I'm buying myself some time so my clients have time to think well. So I'm doing that. And I wanted to touch base with you prior, right? Now, let's say the price is under asking. Something I would say is, hey, I noticed the buyer submitted at 400,000. We're currently listed at 430. Are the buyers at the top of their price range at 400, or do you think there might be some flexibility there? I might also use the word latitude. And we'll see what they say. I'm taking notes the entire time on this call. If the buyer's asking for closing costs, that's very common in our market, but I want to get rid of as much of that as I can for my clients. Hey, Adelina, I noticed your buyer requested 10K in closing costs. Is that because they need those funds to qualify? Is that a deal breaker for them? If I can't get my client to give you guys the 10, is that a deal breaker? Because I'm trying to uncover what the deal breakers actually are to encourage my clients to counter the right things, right? If the buyer is asking for lower price and concessions, that's another one we're dealing with right now. Hey, I want to be sure to share all the relevant information, Adelina, when I present at the time that I mentioned. And I'm curious, if you know, Adelina, what's most important to your client, price or concessions? Like if I can only get them one for you, if I can only get you guys one of those, what's most important? This will also give me an idea of how well this agent knows their client. And if they're going to be able to kind of help me negotiate this deal to a win, right? If it's a longer than ideal option period, we're seeing people throw in 14 days now, 10 days. Hey, I noticed a longer 10-day option, Adelina. Does the buyer's schedule prevent them from a 5 to 7 day option? Because I want to know why they put in 10. Did they just scrap this together at the table and send it over with no forethought? Or are they out of town? If their client's out of town and my client gets, kind of upset for 10 days because they've done this before, it's like, oh, hey, Adelina, just want to let you on that 10-day option. I'd normally counter that too. Client's out of town for 5 days. So they just want that peace of mind. Are you okay with that? All right, here's what I'd focus on countering, right? And then financing contingency. Those are longer than they used to be as well. Hey, there was a 21-day financing contingency in the offer. Is there anything with the buyer's approval or any trouble with the lender that would prevent them from doing 15-day financing? And I'm asking the questions that way so they don't get defensive, but also at the same time, it could uncover something that's relevant to my client. And then I call the lender and ask similar questions. Because if the agent won't play ball with me and tell me that stuff, I'll frame it to the lender the same way. Ask them questions to see do they need closing? Are they at max budget? To give my clients an idea of what's actually possible if we are going to counter and move forward with that offer.
I love that. Wrote all of that down from both of you. I'm going to send out the chat this particular one just because there's so many notes in there. Anything else on the listing side that you guys want to share before we move to the next one?
Well, on the multiple offer situation on the listing side, I think it would be very beneficial for everybody to have some sort of spreadsheet in which you put all the data from the different offers that you're getting. There's a template that we've created. It's nothing fancy. It's just, offer number one, offer number two, offer number three, sales price, contingencies. And that way you have one sheet of paper. When you sit down to analyze all these offers for your seller, you have one sheet of paper where you can, at a glance, tell which offer is the best offer for your seller. Now, just because you think it's the best offer doesn't mean it's the best offer for your seller. So, so you have that at a glance. That's one of the things that I would do if you don't have one already. And then when I find myself in multiple offers like that, I will always call my seller and I'll say, hey, we have multiple offers. Great news. It means we did a great job marketing your home and you did a great job pricing it. And so now we are in this auction effect that we were shooting for. So I do want to ask you, Madalena, do you want to see any love letters that may come attached with these offers? Because I certainly don't want to make that uncomfortable for you if you don't want feelings involved in this. And this isn't the conversation with Adelina, just kind of sidebar, but I know that buyers are going to do that, but I don't want my seller stressed about it. And so if the seller tells me, you know what, yeah, it's important to me who buys the house and why they're buying it and all the emotional stuff, then yeah, I'm going to forward those to them. But if they don't want that to be something that they're biased by, I will ask him. I don't make that decision for them. I've known listing agents that just choose for their seller not to present those letters. And I don't do that. I ask them if they want to see them. So that's part of the conversation. Sorry, I'm fighting COVID, so I'm getting a little out of breath here. I think that's about it on the multiple offer situation. And when you're presenting them, you need to be able to very concisely tell your client, Adelina, offer number one has the positives that it gets you to where you want to be in the time frame that you want to be in, and it nets you the most amount of money. The negative side to them is I don't know their lender and I don't know their agent, and I don't know if there's that usually increases the possibility of a deal falling through when I can't tell you how the other side operates. Offer number two nets you a little bit less, but it still gets you to where you want to be in the least amount of money, and it's cash, which eliminates appraisal, which minimizes the opportunity for this deal falling through. And offer number three just doesn't really even compete to either one of these two. So you need to be able to concisely tell your client, this one's the best one in my opinion, this one's the second best, this one doesn't compete. And then from there, let them make their choice. But once you've done the job of peeling the layers of the onion back and presenting it cleanly and neatly to them.
I agree.
Words to say.
Oh, and let me tell you, those buyer offers, I mean, we went into multiple offers on a personal house, and the offer we didn't choose, like those little kids will like forever haunt my memories. Like I will always see those little kids that we didn't pick. So it is, I do like that approach. Do you want to see the buyer love letters, or do you not want any feelings involved? And your client makes that choice. It's not us. I like that. I like that. Other than what we've talked about so far, is there anything else you guys are doing that is building value and maximizing the moving parts and negotiable pieces of the deal, so that your client is glad that they used an agent?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of opportunity in today's market, right? If you could really build your skill and pay attention and be willing to ask good questions, you could get your clients, a really good deal. And when it comes to negotiating, I'm always trying to coach myself to be as conscious as possible when something's changing in the deal, so that my clients don't end up giving away something for nothing. And I will explain that. to my client. I'd say, hey, Adelina, the buyer came back and asked for, let's say, another $5,000 off the price. And I'm not a big fan of my clients giving away something for nothing. And so if we remember 2 weeks ago when they first submitted the offer, or a week ago, they really wanted the fridge washer dryer. I know you guys said you're not taking it, but we didn't offer it up front. And one of the reasons we didn't is because we encourage our clients to keep those bartering chips. So let's, I'd hate for you just to give away 5. Let me go, if you're okay with it, let me go back to the other side and see if they'd be willing to. I'll tell them no, that it's something you're not able to do right now financially. But what you could offer up is that washer dryer fridge. Yeah, I know you already have a new one in your house. What do you think? And I'm just really trying to be intentional on being aware of what's changing. And then, as always, I think any power up you've ever invited me to, this comes up at some point. Time management. There's a lot of things that go into being a consistent advisor, and time management's one of them, right? Time management, having a level head, critical thinking, expertise, ability to ask for help, scripting and practice. I mention all of those things, not because I feel like I have all those things. It's because I know I need to practice those things, and those practice times need to go on my calendar, right? And so I'd encourage everybody to stay focused on that, because you can go get big wins for your clients on either side of the deal right now. You just have to be real intentional on how you spend your time. And Laura mentioned this.
Can I ask a follow-up? Maybe it's to both of you. Here's what I see a lot. We get an offer, and that becomes our entire day. Like, that's all we work on for the entire day, maybe even the next day. How do you not let a 15-minute offer review, another 15 minutes to present, be a 12-hour day?
That's a great question. And earlier I had mentioned front load the time, right? That's why I started doing that, was because as my business grew, I didn't have all day to work on one offer. I didn't have all day to take one listing agreement. And so when I set that expectation with you as a buyer agent, hey, Adelina, I'm working to cover that offer as soon as possible, probably tomorrow morning, based off my client's schedule. That's really my schedule and my client's schedule, right? I'm going to check with them ahead of time before I set that expectation. But I know this sometimes, and I've done this a lot of times, I'll put myself in trouble by saying, yeah, I'll present it in 30 minutes. Not knowing when my client's ready. I'm definitely not ready. I'm going to have to break a commitment into my calendar now. And that happened enough times to where I said, hey, I'm not the best tool for my client. If I'm not even ready and I'm stressed and rushed, they're taking a 30 minutes out of work to do that. It doesn't make sense. And so in the answer for one of the multiple offers, when we do the basic, we've received multiple offers, deadline is tomorrow at 6. In my calendar, right after I send that email, I've already confirmed with my client when we're presenting those. So I'll have an hour after the deadline to present. Everybody's on the same page on our end. And then I do all the rest of the stuff I have to do before that. I'm not even focused on those multiple offers until it's time to focus on those multiple offers. It's the same for everything, right? And so as your business grows and you start to get more pendings or pending opportunities, you need to, I would encourage you at least to look at your calendar, week to week, day to day, as your business is changing that dynamically, right? To put time blocks in to work on that part of the business. And then that way you don't have to miss out on everything because you got one big opportunity. But that one big opportunity does require time and intention. And so I'm big and get it in your calendar ahead of time. Don't be afraid to put it off for a few hours. And I think our clients overall appreciate that as well, because all of a sudden they're at work and then it's like, hey, we got an offer. Can you talk right now? And it's like, no, because nobody could do that, right? It's not conducive to making good decisions, in my opinion. So I'd schedule it ahead of time.
I like that. You're prioritizing, but it doesn't blow up your client's day and your day. Like, we're not doing it like tonight. We're not doing it tomorrow. It's just a couple hours so that you can time block it and your client has a free moment at work or whatever they're doing. That makes sense. Laura, what about you? Anything you want to share?
In regards to that, I would say have enough business so that this doesn't become your only one thing you're devoting all of your attention to. Because I don't have the time to spend 4 hours on an offer because I have other things I have to attend to. But when I was a new agent and this was my one sole deal, it's very easy to let that be the driving factor for your day. So
so on that topic, I know if somebody is on here listening and they're like, well, yeah, it is my only deal and I really do need this paycheck, it can come across like I can't think of the right word. Not spoiled, but whatever. Like, of course, if you have multiple deals, of course you don't have to deal with it. But this is my one chance. Of course, I'm gonna give it 2 weeks. It's my one chance. I need to make this money, right? It's a mindset thing that Laura's talking about. It isn't that she's better than anybody else. It isn't that anybody's better than anybody else. People have been in it longer and have given more time to their business, so they are at different places. Like, we're all in different chapters, but it's a mindset thing. It's not that your one deal is not important. It is very important.
More important.
But you know what?
Yeah.
If that falls apart, then you now
You're at zero.
2 months of closings because you just blew up like 2-3 days on this. Anyway, passionate about that.
Real quick, Adelina, if you don't mind, this is such an important topic. It is such an important topic. So something our team's been talking about, we had a mastermind before we started the summer challenge. And something that we talked about as a team was, you know, as it gets hard and we get busy, this challenge has been really good for time management, in addition to grit and skill set and conversion and all of that. But the thing that I, wanted to mention to our partners here in San Antonio, at a high level, when you feel overwhelmed or you feel that man, I really need this check, this is my one, right? The exact mindset you're talking about. Remember that your goal was never only to do one, right? And you're going to really have to push yourself to start behaving in the way of your preferred future. And it's hard to, as a new agent, I wasted a lot of time, and I was like that too. Like, hey, my one deal, give me a break, not to you, but I felt like that sometimes, right? Like, this is a great thing. And then I had to remember, like, hey, my goal is to do X, Y, and Z for the people around me. So you're either going to, and this is what we talked about, we're either going to start to prepare like high-level professionals that are very productive, or we're going to grind it out and become those people and then have to deal with the time management then. So why not just deal with it now? And you'll get there faster if you're already behaving that way now. And trust me that you will have way less stress. Your clients will have way less stress. And that's how we get the reviews, and that's how we get the referrals. Make them feel like you did something great for them, that they were a part of that journey the whole time, really making conscious decisions that made a difference, and try to make it as worry-free as possible. There's enough worries and stress as there is with real estate sales, right? And so if we could continue to do that, we're going to be driving a lot of that energy. One of my notes says, before presenting anything, take your emotion out of it. You get a dog, kind of crappy offer immediately. If you love your clients, which I think we all do, it's like, they should never take this, right? That's the easy place to go first, but it's like, hey, wait a second, let's turn this into something nice. You got to make time for all of that stuff. So a couple of things I would share that might have gone at the top of this list is, you're in control of how you're about to go present anything, right? And so I always encourage, create your ideal setting for success. It's the same thing as if you have that client that's real stressed out and they call you when you're in traffic, you're probably not going to pick it up, right? Because you're not in a good state of mind either. You're in traffic, you don't have time to take notes, you're probably upset about something that's going on around you in traffic. And it's better just to say, hey, I'll call you when I get back to my office, right? So create an ideal setting for success. Number one, schedule time in your calendar to prepare necessary information, calls, notes. Give yourself the best chance of succeeding. Get in a quiet environment, preferably in front of your computer. I know that's not always easy, but again, do your best. Schedule a time with your buyer or seller with the specific intention of discussing this business. Don't be afraid to tell them, hey, Adelina, 5 o'clock today work for you? We're going to sit down and talk business about this offer that came in today. Does that work? No, it doesn't. I have a church function or a kid function, or I got to stay late at work. Great. What's the best time for you tomorrow then, right? I'm not trying to negotiate offers at 9 p.m. Although I used to, and it didn't always go well, right? Don't rush or just present however, whenever. I know we get a lot of those calls. Hey, I just sent it over. I'm in my car. It's riddled with mistakes. We already know it's not going to be good. Take notes. I'm a big note taker. Bring energy and enthusiasm. That's really helped with me because sometimes I have to fabricate the energy, right? You get an offer 50K under asking, you're probably not in the greatest set of energy, right? Adelina, I got great news. We have an offer, right? And then just be dynamic and understanding where everything stands for this particular situation. Tale of three markets, there's a lot going on. The situation you're working within, your client's interest and how it's going so far in the market. So be current with what's going on. And then where can you push and where should you not? And what are the risks, right? So play the leverage the right way. We didn't really get into that, but it's really important right now. Agents are misplaying their leverage because they still think it's the last market. I've done that recently and got lucky that it didn't blow up. I was like, oh man, I pushed too hard on that. Right. So like really be intentional, be focused. You could do that if you set up the right environment for yourself. That gives you consistency. If you have consistency in the way you perform, your business will take off in a way that people will remember you and they'll refer you and leave you 5-star reviews. And you'll have less stress that way.
I love that. Laura, anything that you'd part with us on? You've imparted already. Great stuff. Anything that you wanted to get off your chest?
I would just say that a good offer or an offer, doesn't even have to be a good one, is more than just a sales price. And it really starts by you having thorough consultations with your buyers and with your sellers so that you truly understand what it is that they're trying to achieve, why it is important that they achieve that, in the timeline that they want to achieve it in. If you understand that, you will write better offers, you will negotiate better offers, and your clients will just love you because, yes, money is important, and it is not the only thing that's important. Sometimes someone might take a lesser offer because they're able to stay in the house for 3 extra weeks. Sometimes they might take a lesser offer because it gets them out 3 weeks earlier, or because they get to keep grandma's chandelier, or who knows what's important to people. We all have different things that are important to us. So I think it starts with thorough consultations. If you don't do that, I would strongly suggest that you start practicing your buyer's consultation and your listing presentations, your listing consultations, so that you know your clients. The relationship is where you get the raving reviews.
I agree. I love that. This was really good, and I'm gonna definitely 100% back everything that they just said. We went through this week. We told both parties what was important to us, and to you guys' point, like, people will tell you what's important. You got to communicate it, not overplay your leverage, and be really communicative during the entire process. Be super professional. The days of just forwarding stuff and just like jumping in and doing things quickly, you get to do things quickly the better you get at it, right? But quick does not mean careless, right? All of us can write offers quickly.
One more thing though, relationships with the co-op agent will make or break you in negotiations.
Okay, but here's the thing though, devil's advocate.
Yeah.
80% of them are part-time agents. So what do you do to like infuse kind of a relationship on the front end? Because some of them don't do deals.
You pick up the phone, you start over communicating from the get-go. By relationship, I don't mean it has to have been years long. You can develop a relationship.
Perfect. It's not relationship as in Laura knows this person. It's relationship that she picked up the phone and got good rapport started.
And I think a lot of us approach transactions from this combative state of mind, combative standpoint of, I call it the car sales approach, where you're like, well, this is my client's offer, leave it or take it or leave it. And we try to play hard ass instead of being pro transaction. My broker probably dies a little every time I say I'm very pro transaction. Like, I don't get paid unless the transaction goes to the closing table. So I'm going to make friends with the other agent and with the lender and with the title company so that we can all move this ball forward and get it to across the finish line. So being combative and having your way might be good for your ego, but it's not good for your pocket.
I love that. I love that. Man, you guys were really good. This will go down as a masterclass in in this topic, because it is so much more than a panel, which speaks to your years of expertise. And I want to get that across. It is years of expertise, but it's because they did so many deals per year, right? So like a lot of times we connect with agents who have been in the business 10, 20, 30 years and maybe do 4 or 5 a year, right? But when you're part of Place, you're part of our teams, you're able to do 12, 20, 24, 36, 50 deals a year. That puts you in a whole different position in expertise. It's not the years, it's the amount of expertise. And then you skill up on master classes like this and you learn from people doing it at a high level. This is awesome. Take it with you and run. We won't be here next week. But I'm going to re-put in chat Mr. Brendan, who's going to do ready, set, reset. Since we're on week 30 of the year already, what a great time. Brandon and Laura, if there's anything that you guys want me to send out as a deliverable, I'm super happy to. I'll get this out today. I'm going to also get the chat box out because I know a lot of you guys DM'd and were like, can I get that script? Can I get that script? And I did my best. Everybody else is doing their best. And yeah, I really appreciate this masterclass. It was awesome. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We'll see you guys next time. Bye, Laura.
Thanks for the invite. Bye.
See you
Thank
later.
you.
Thank you.